Yes, guys, and welcome back to our opposition preview. We're here, of course, for the game on Saturday, 7:30 kickoff as Arsenal go away to the Molineux to take on Wolves. And of course, whenever we do a Wolves preview, guys, there's only one man to get on for it. We're joined by Dave from Talking Wolf. Dave, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming back on, bro.
I'm all good, guys. Thanks for having me back. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure, man. And Seb as well. Of course, you'll be at the game, won't you, my friend, in the away end. So, how you obviously feeling, about this game? Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, of course, looking forward to the game, but I have to admit, I'm quite sceptical because it's been a horrible week in general. But we have to put it right tomorrow, otherwise, no trophy again this season. But yeah, I get nervous every game, especially in this running. I hate this time of season, I really do.
Yeah, for sure. But let's start, of course, with Wolves. And I'll come to Dave. Obviously, season so far. Of course, Gary O'Neill as your manager now as well. You're currently sat 11th, of course, in the Premier League. I've been keeping an eye on a few of your results. Obviously, I saw the big one when you beat Man City 2-1 at the Molineux. So you beat Tottenham at the Molineux as well. I think you did Chelsea as well. So I've noticed that you are decent at home, especially when it comes to playing the big six sides as well. So I want to get your overall, of course, assessment on your season so far. Have you overachieved, like underachieved, or is it what you've expected under Gary O'Neill?
You could probably say we've overachieved a little bit, to be fair, because I think at the start of the season, obviously we lost Lopetegui right before the season started, and Gary O'Neill came in like 3 days before the season. And I think basically the aim was for him to try and keep Wolves in the Premier League. And, he's achieved that very comfortably. It's just frustrating now because we've got to the point where maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago we were in the conversation for Europe, and because of injuries or whatever, we've sort of slowed down a lot. And ultimately now we're probably going to end up finishing like 11th, 12th, about where we are now. And, on the face of it, it's a good season. But when you're so close to achieving something like European football or, competing with the likes of, Newcastle and West Ham, Chelsea and so on to get 7th place, it's frustrating when you sort of peter off towards the end. I was looking forward to this game about 24 hours ago. And then our team news has come out, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And I have no doubt it's going to be a very, very comfortable game for Arsenal now tomorrow, which we'll talk about. But yeah, I mean, other than that, the season has been good for Wolves. I just think it's going to be sort of a slow end to the end of the campaign. We've still got yourselves. We've still got to play City away, Liverpool away. So I can't see us picking up many more points between now and the end of the season. But I think, take it. We're still going to be a Premier League team, all being well next year. Well, we are because we're mathematically safe, but still be a Premier League team next year and build and go again next campaign.
Yeah, for sure, man. And when I look, obviously, as a neutral, looking into Wolves, and I look at your manager, Gary O'Neill, of course, I saw him last season with Bournemouth. Still think that it's pretty harshly that they sacked him, but I know they're doing pretty well, their new manager, to be honest. And I think they're I think they're behind you, right? I think they're like 12th, 13th.
Just behind us, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're doing all right. But what's the overall thoughts at Wolves? Like how do Wolves fans really feel about Gary O'Neill as a manager? Because obviously I remember when you guys were playing under Nuno in Europa League, obviously years ago. So do you think he has that ability to take you back to the European stages?
Possibly, yeah. I think he's definitely got the capability of doing it, and he's impressed a lot of fans. I mean, he had a lot of doubters when he first came in because we'd gone from Lopetegui, who was a Europa League winning manager, did very well with Sevilla in Spain, sort of taken a big drop to join Wolves, and then to a manager like Gary O'Neill, who had less than 1 year experience as a top flight manager. So on the face of it, it was a very big risk for Wolves. So we had a lot of doubters, but within maybe the first quarter of the season, by the end of the first quarter, a lot of people were on his side. And now there's sort of a divide between the club, let's say the hierarchy, like the board, and Gary O'Neill. And I would say 99% of the fans are on Gary O'Neill's side. We've been frustrated over the last sort of 12 to 18 months with the lack of investment from the club. I think they could have and should have backed him in January a little bit more, even if it was just one player. We went into games like the FA Cup game against Coventry and, had to play a 19-year-old lad up front who's played about 2 or 3, made 2 or 3 senior starts. Whereas even if we had one senior attacker that we brought in, I think we could have got through, and we might not even be talking now because we would have been in an FA Cup semi-final this weekend. But He started to be a bit more vocal about the board, Gary O'Neill, but I think he's got a lot of things right. You can see as a young manager, he's learned a lot throughout the season. He's changed certain things. You can see him maturing throughout the year. But Wolves have got to back him this summer because, again, he's made certain points in the press conference today. He seems okay. He seems happy enough, but part of me thinks there's still little subtle digs at the board. And if he goes in the summer and the board say, look, we haven't got any money again to spend, I can see him walking out. So he's done a good enough job to do that. He's done a good enough job to prove that he can manage any team in the Premier League. I think even a top 6 team, maybe not the likes of, yourselves or, Liverpool City, but I think he's done enough to say, give me a shout, because wherever he's gone, he's made massive improvements for the club.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Seb, do you remember when obviously he was at Bournemouth and he gave us a good game, didn't he? Emirates, when obviously that 3-2 game.
He did very well, Bournemouth.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it's harsh for him to get sacked, really. And obviously, like, they went 2-0 up against us as well. And I thought, like, if it wasn't for Reece Nelson, we would have dropped points, obviously. But yeah, we have Arteta faced him this season, of course, when you guys came to the Emirates, and obviously we beat you 2-1. And I thought we started off, very, very well. We got 2 early goals, and then we sort of slowed down the pace off that, and we allowed you back into the game. And you got, I think, a late goal, and then the pressure was on you to obviously. Oh, sorry, was on us to hold that 2-1 lead. But what was your thoughts on that game at the Emirates? How do you think you guys performed?
Oh, I remember that first half. I was so surprised that Arsenal weren't like 4 or 5-0 up. That was probably one of our worst halves of football all season, and the way you started and just came out so quickly. That was a big worry for Wolves fans. I know people that left that game at like half time because they were like, wow, there's no point in us standing. It'd be daft, obviously, spend that much money to go down to London and so on. But a couple of my friends thought, what's the point of standing here? But in the end, we made the game a lot more competitive in the second half. We were missing a couple of players. I think both João Gomez and Lamina were out for that game, if I remember rightly. But yeah, the first 20, 30 minutes of that game, it was all Arsenal. Like, they were just suffocating us, and really should have put the game to bed there and then. And like you said, Cunha got a late goal and put made you worry a little bit. But I remember after that game how disappointed Arsenal fans were. And I think you've probably had a few games like that this season where on paper and throughout the game you've been so comfortable, but just made life difficult for yourselves. But yeah, it's just typical Wolves, really. There's been a lot of games like that where we have some great moments, but just lapses of concentration or, a poor start like in that game, and it sort of costs us the rest of the game, really.
Yeah. So talking about, of course, your team news, because I have heard all about it. And as for us, Seb, I mean, we're chilling, aren't we, man? I mean, in terms of team news, we've got everyone fit apart from obviously Timber. But I think it's the complete opposite with you guys, right? I mean, talk to us about some of the key players that we missing. And, does that make you like worried as well going into this game against Arsenal?
Yeah, very, very worried. See, I did my previews and a couple of other Arsenal chats yesterday, and I said, look, I think Arsenal are going to be favourites. You're towards the top of the table and still title contenders for a reason. And you've won 90% of your games or whatever this year, so Arsenal will go in as favourites whether Wolves are full strength or not. But part of me still felt, although my head was thinking an Arsenal win, my heart was saying, Wolves could upset things and nick a win here. But I'm totally the opposite. I'd put good money on Arsenal to beat Wolves comfortably tomorrow. Now, team news for Wolves: we had Gary O'Neill's press conference earlier today, and it wasn't expected and it wasn't good. He said the good news for Wolves was that Ryan Aït-Nouri might be in the squad and he might have a few minutes. That was good news. Bad news was Cunha out, which is a big, big loss for us because he'd been injured for a long time, sort of worked his way back up to fitness, started last weekend and scored twice against Forest. And sort of rubbing my hands together during the week thinking, right, we might give the rest of the season a good go now. But no, got kicked against Forest and some bad bruising, so he won't play. Nelson Semedo, who's been very pivotal for us at right wing back, just I think it's just wear and tear, the amount of football that he's played. He's just legs gone. So he's out for this game. Neto's still not available. He's back soon, but still out injured. Hwang Ki-chan, not fully fit, so he should be in the squad, but again, only 45 minutes max. So if he starts, he'll be off at half time, but more than likely he'll come off the bench maybe for the last 20, 25 minutes. Craig Dawson out, Jean-Rick Bellegarde out. So yeah, from Gary O'Neill pretty much said, we've only got 10 outfield senior players available that are fully fit.
Wow.
I don't think he's included Huang and Ait Nori in that, so they'll probably be on the bench. But
Yeah.
pretty much the squad that you see is going to probably play the majority of the game. And I know for a fact he's got quite a few kids on the bench that haven't played a minute of Premier League football before. One lad that I know, or I've been told might be in the squad, is a lad called Wesley Okadua, 16 years of age. He was at school this morning. No word of a lie, he was at school this morning. And he got told, like, you got to come with us now. You're training with the first team today. So
That's mad.
he has been in the first team squad before, and he's been in like England youth setups. But yeah, 16 years old, and he should be in the squad as well on tomorrow. Yeah, but yeah, not
That's
good at the
crazy.
moment. T News is crazy at the moment.
I mean, I know you said, but I mean, the big one missing for when we look as Arsenal fans, I think you'll agree with me, is probably Pedro Neto. I know that we, as fans, we want to sign him as a good backup or give him competition. I feel like Neto would give Saka competition. But Dave, is Neto like very injury prone with Wolves?
Yeah, that's the big concern. I mean, I've had this conversation with a few Arsenal fans recently. I think on his day, Pedro Neto could be classed as one of the top players in the Premier League, but unfortunately, just far too injury prone. I think he's missed, a ridiculous amount of football since he's joined Wolves. And even this year, he started off the season so well. He was top of the assist charts for a long time. But he's already picked up 2 injuries this year. And that will decrease the value that Wolves can acquire for him, really. So I think they're going to try and get him back on the pitch sometime between now and the end of the season. Just try and maybe give him a last push to get in that Portugal Euro squad. But it's one of those. I could see him leaving this summer, but it's what fee Wolves get for him and what level of club he joins. Because, of course, I think for Arsenal, yeah, you'd love to have Neto in your squad, but at the same time, it's a bit of a risk having a player that's, could be out for a half or to 3/4 of a season. You don't really want to be spending 40 to 50 million pounds on a player like that.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Absolutely spot on there. Seb, I'll come to you. How are you feeling, considering all the injuries now and some big players out, going away to Le Molyneux, in terms of, and I know the momentum with Arsenal been, decreased massively after the Bayern defeat, after the Villa defeat. But do you think Arsenal will bounce back, of course, tomorrow against Wolves?
We have to. Who we will, I don't know, but we have to. And listen, in these last couple of games, it's more of a second half in which we've just completely been poor. The first half we've actually played well, but we just either not taken our chances or not done enough with the ball when we had possession. But when we get the chances, we've got to finish them, and this has been a problem all season. I really feel, apart from January to March, is finding that first goal. That's been the problem, really. And then the second half, we just completely void of ideas, and then the opposition will come onto us. But I think with this, if we do get an early goal or a goal midway through the half or go in at half time with a lead, I will feel a little bit more confident that we can do it. But if we go 0-0, and if we certainly at half time and we certainly go up there until 50, 60 minutes, then I'm going to start to be concerned, because then it'll be the same old cracks that's been the last few games. But if you've got your fully fit squad available, there should be no excuses, because it's the same with Villa. Most of the squad was available. Bayern, most of the squad was available. And I definitely will think this is a mental problem if they collapse again. If to collapse with a full squad available, I'm sorry, there's just no excuses. But if you had a couple of your key players missing, then fair enough, you can say that. But there's no excuses this time. And we've also got to play Wolves respect, because they are a good side, and it's Molyneux. And like they've said, they've beaten some good sides on their turf. So we've got to treat them with respect as well, because they are a good side, especially at their place. It's not going to be an easy game. It really ain't. But these players, it's now time for them to stand up and show how much they want it. And if I was Mikel Arteta, I will be going into that dressing room. Dave, have you seen the All or Nothing document?
Yeah.
Right. What Mikel Arteta must be showing these players is that, look at what these fans have been saying about you, bottlers. Look what they've been saying about you. Is that how you want to go? How you want to be remembered as? Well, this is your chance now to go and prove it, because this title race is not over. It may be for some fans, but it's actually not mathematically, because we've got to win this, and then go into Chelsea and go into Chelsea because he got two big games after this against Chelsea and Tottenham.
Yeah.
Win those, then it is back on. But one slip, then you really can be saying kissing it goodbye. But like I've said, this is the most important game, and Arteta really needs to get these players fired for this and needs to get them ready. And he said after Bayern, look, don't worry, we'll be ready for Saturday. Okay, well, we're holding you to your word for that. And if they're not, we go out there and don't deliver, then you're just as much as blame as these players are. Well, you would be regardless, because everyone takes blame for all this. But this cannot be the start of a season unraveling again. And I do worry going into this game. I really do. And like last year when we went to Wolves, I was very confident. I thought, oh, it should be no problem. But even with those injuries, I'm still not saying, oh, it'll be a comfortable win. These players have got to go out there and show what they're all about, because this is when you get tested on what you're really made of, as the title race really starts after Easter, and this is what your squad and your manager shows what they're made of.
Yeah, spot on there, man. Yeah, 100%. I mean, every time we do, I mean, Wolves always seem to give us a good game. It's always a tight game. I mean, I know that's like 5-0 last game of the season. But other than that, it's always been a very close game.
And you can't refer to
that. Yeah, that's true. So it's always been a tight game. It's, not many goals in it between us. But Dave, what do you think the game plan will be like? Because many teams, when they play against Arsenal, they play this whole low block style of play where sort of just try and frustrate Arsenal, sit back and counter attack us, because you go toe to toe with Arsenal, you do half the time because of how good quality players we have in attack. We'll rip teams apart. So, do you see Wolves playing similar to how you guys did at the Emirates? I mean, of course, I know we dominated in the first half, but do you see, because many teams play this low block tactics against us, do you see Wolves doing similar, or
I think it will be, we would have played a counter-attacking style whether we were full strength or not. So I think we would have sat deep, allowed you a lot of the ball and tried to launch the counter-attack. I think even more so now, the quality of our team. I don't think Wolves can afford to play a high line or anything. Although we've got good players, I mean, look, the starting lineup's okay. It's full of Premier League quality players, but there's not a lot of pace or anything like that. So in regards to us playing a high line or whatever, it's not going to happen. So that's why I'm a little bit concerned. I just don't understand or don't know where chances and goals are going to come from for Wolves tomorrow, because I think against Arsenal, the way you are going to beat them is on the counter-attack. I don't think we're going to out-football them, and we haven't really got any pace. So that's a frustrating thing for me. So, yeah, I think it could be a long evening for Wolves. I think if the Wolves come out of this conceding less than a goal or two, I think they've done a very, very good job. But it could be frustrating for Arsenal, though, because I think if, we sit deep and frustrate you, and like Seb said earlier, we go into half-time 0-0, fans at home and fans in the away end there are going to be like flipping it, like, and Wolves will gain more confidence the longer the game goes on. So, I can't, it's going to be a long evening either way for Wolves, but I think it could be a game where Arsenal have a lot of the ball and you are going to have a lot of attempts on goal. It just depends on how Wolves defend and can keep Arsenal at bay.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of like how your lineup will look, do you have a rough idea what Gary O'Neill might go with?
Yeah, I mean, based on his comments, I think the back five is pretty much a given. So I think Sarr will start in goal. The back three will be as it has been the last few weeks: Kilman, Totti, and Santi Bueno, Spanish centre back. I think Matt Doherty will be right wing back. Young Spanish lad Hugo Bueno at left wing back. I think Lamina and João Gomez will both play centrally. You could see Tommy Doyle play centrally as well. Pablo Sarabia will play. And it's just the 11th player. I don't know. He might start Hwang, get half out of him. Might start Nathan Fraser, the young lad that I alluded to earlier, 19-year-old striker. He's not ready. I think he could get absolutely bullied tomorrow. And it could be a really game for him to forget. But you never know. He could surprise us. And then on the bench, we'll have hopefully Aït-Nouri. Hwang might give us a little bit. We've got a big physical midfielder, Boubacar Traoré. He might start tomorrow, to be fair. And then it's the kids on the bench. I just hope maybe one of them comes on, like I said earlier, I'm not expecting to win, but someone comes on, gets their debut, because I think for any football player in the world, if you got your debut against, in the Premier League and against Arsenal, that's a great achievement. So I'm hoping we can at least give that opportunity to a young lad that's maybe on the bench.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wanted to ask you this as well. Out of this season as well, what's been like? Who's been the player that is like sort of impressed you the most for Wolves this season?
We've had a lot of good players. I think the three that I would pick out, obviously other than Neto, because Neto's been great, but the injuries have really held him back. Cunha is
Yeah,
one who I'm really surprised to see him not linked with bigger clubs. In the summer it tends to be a couple of other players, but Cunha is very rarely linked with moves away. But compared to his season last year, he had 6 months at Wolves, really struggled. This year has been fantastic, scoring goals, getting assists. Before his injury, he had 9 goal contributions in his last 9 games. So, he's been doing really well. Ait-Nouri is one left wing back, fantastic player. Just showed some real quality, both defensively and going forward. His ability on the ball is unbelievable. And again, I think he may be, close to a big move away. I think he could get a big move this summer. And then the other one is João Gomez. I know Arsenal have been linked with him as well.
yeah,
Really good defensive midfielder. Can chip in with a goal as well. To be fair, I was thinking when we beat Spurs away, we didn't have Cunha. I don't think we had Neto and Hwang, and we beat them. And the courtesy of 2 João Gomez goals, sort of breaking through, and arriving late in the box. I think we did have Neto actually, but yeah, João Gomez arriving late in the box and grabbing a couple of goals. So great player. But those 3, I would say Cunha, João Gomez, and Ryan Ait-Nouri have been the 3 standouts for me this year.
yeah. Seb, in terms of Arsenal, lineup wise for Arsenal, do we play Party maybe in the midfield and give well, I don't want to see Havertz in the left centre mid role. So, or do you play Jorginho, or what would be your lineup take on Wolves?
No, it's time to play Party now because I'm just like, this is ridiculous. If you're not going to play him, when are you going to play him? He didn't get any minutes. He didn't get any minutes against Villa. He didn't get any minutes against Bayern. And maybe that could have made the difference instead of unbalancing your midfield and putting Havertz there, because it clearly doesn't work. So yes, Partey does have to come in. But yeah, I'll make a few changes. I think he does. We do need to freshen it up a bit. So Raya in goal, I'll keep that. I still keep White, Saliba, and Gabriel in. And in this game, I would actually throw in Zinchenko because I actually reckon this game could be good for him. If Wolves are going to sit back and play this low block, and like Dave said, they haven't got much pace, then this is the game for him. So do play Zinchenko, and then the midfield 3: Partey, Rice, and Odegaard. We go with that.
Yeah.
Then the front 3. See, this is a bit tricky because I'd actually be inclined to give Saka a rest because let's be honest, he's not been good for the last few games and he looks jaded. So
who would you play there? Nelson.
Well, if he does get a start, then I'll be like, okay, well, let's see what you got. But I'll actually probably bring Martinelli on the right.
Okay.
I'll go with Jesus on the left, and I'll go Trossard down the middle because Trossard's best position is a false 9. And you can possibly argue that he's not really had enough games. So freshen things up a little bit, like I said, because you've got most of the squad available. And like we said, this is what it's made of. If players aren't really performing, you can drop them. And also, I'll drop Havertz because the last couple of games, he's not performed either. This isn't me. Before anyone says, oh, you're picking on him again, I'm not. He's done well the last few months. But if they're not performing, they can come out of this team. Freshen things up a little bit because this could be the way to beat them. Because I remember last season after we went on that 4-game winless run, when we played Chelsea the next game, he freshened things up a bit. He brought in Jorginho.
Yeah, true.
Party, he made a couple more changes, and then we came out flying. And the same for the next game against Newcastle. So this is where you have your squad and you earn your money. This is where you do it. Freshen things up a little bit, and if you don't trust them, then fair enough. But what you don't do is don't keep picking them every week on that bench. Just take them off, and don't bring on Eddie again when you're trying to be desperate and chasing the game. Do not do that because if you think that's going to work, you can think again.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. Yeah, I think we have to go with that three midfielder party, by the way, and Rice and Odegaard. He's got to do it now. If he doesn't do it now, then I seriously think there's a problem with him and Party. But Dave, when you obviously look into Arsenal's like team and obviously Arteta as a manager, I mean, what player do you really sit there and say is like the most threatening for tomorrow, or do you think like a whole team is just
Yeah,
quality?
I think obviously you got quality all throughout the pitch, and like I said earlier, you wouldn't be sort of where you are in the Premier League without that. I think the two defensive, the centre back partnerships are brilliant. Saliba and Gabriel. I think that consistency for Arsenal has helped them a lot this season. Rice has been obviously fantastic since joining from West Ham as well. I think the midfield battle could be interesting tomorrow. If Wolves got any opportunity of getting something out of the game, I think João Gomez and Mina versus Rice and whoever else partners him is going to be a really intriguing battle. Then I look towards the front players. I know Saka's slowed down a lot in terms of goal contributions the last month or so, but still a fantastic player. And if he turns up, it's just such a difficult player to play against. I like Jesus a lot as well. Just seems to pick up those nice spaces every now and then. Obviously, you boys watch him a lot more and often than I do. Probably needs to be a little bit more consistent with his numbers and goals, but I do like him a lot as well. So lot of quality. And Odegaard as well. Really, really good player. And I think the chances that he creates, I think he's passing to maybe unlock the Wolves defence tomorrow could be key for you guys.
Yeah, 100% agreed there. Look, Seb, anything else you want to cover before we move on to the score predictions?
Well, not really. We just have to win the game. That's all. Just get back to winning ways, because there's still a title there to be won, and we've got to relish this opportunity and stop this season unraveling. But these players need to go out there, perform, and the manager also this is where he earns his money. He needs to be brave with his decisions, and we just have to dust ourselves down and go again, because all 6 of these remaining games are must-wins and a cup final starting with tomorrow. So
definitely,
this is where we really started, because as much as we've earned respect this season with how we've done, I still don't really think teams really properly fear us like they fear Man City. I still don't think that, because I don't think Bayern were that scared. And I don't think Villa really were that scared either. We want teams to really fear us. Like, Dave, are you scared of Arsenal tomorrow? I know you feel concerned.
I mean, because of our lineup, yeah. But I do sort of agree. When you play Man City, a lot of teams think, right, we've got no chance. Whereas against Arsenal, I think teams in the back of their mind will still think, we can have a go here. We can get a result. So, although it shouldn't be, like I said earlier, look at your form. 9 times out of 10, you guys are gonna win the football match. But I still, maybe it's because when if Arsenal win a Premier League title, that's when people will become a little bit, oh, okay, Arsenal are serious now. And look, I don't think the title race is over. All it takes, City don't even have to lose a game. They can drop points. Your goal difference is going to help you a lot, possibly, if you're going to lift the Premier League title. City just have to draw a game. And you win, and you're straight back in the title race. So I know you got tough fixtures, but City, you've got a couple of games that they could slip up with. So we've still got to play Liverpool and City. So we'll have to try and do you guys some favours later on in the season. Hopefully, a few more players fit by then.
I'd appreciate that. That'd be great. But we've got to do our job. We've got to do our job first for it to become relevant. Otherwise, it won't be if we don't do our job. And I think it's more that teams know how to play us. Like I said last week, Unai Emery knows how to play us. Teams know. And even when we went on that dry spell towards Christmas, teams knew how to play us. We were found out. And this is what we've got to cut out. We've got to become less predictable. And that means making brave changes. That means probably changing up the style a little bit, become less predictable, because we don't want to become too predictable again. Otherwise, we won't win, because I think this is what's been the problem this season. Why teams have found us out. Like we're saying, make these changes. Don't become too predictable. And yes, that's all I have to say. Just go out there and play the game, and show why we are still in this title race and where we deserve to be.
Facts.
Tell everyone why, and tell everyone, maybe Arsenal aren't bottomless, or maybe Arsenal are going to continue on. because this is the only way it's going to happen. Is if you go out there and perform. As much as I can't stand the media slagging us off all the time, especially certain experts who we won't name, they've got to do their job as well.
Yeah.
And it won't. Then it won't happen.
Yeah, it's definitely Seb. 100% agree there, my friend. So Dave, my guy, how do you see the game going? Score prediction for tomorrow, man.
Yeah, I think it could be a long evening for Wolves. I just hope that obviously with us being on TV as well, we don't embarrass ourselves too much. I think my heart is still saying that Wolves. I mean, if we could get a point, I think it'd be an unbelievable result for Wolves considering the circumstances. But my head is saying probably Arsenal 3-0. I think it should be a comfortable evening for Arsenal.
Seb, score prediction.
There has to be a response. There has got to be. I think it'll be a tight game. I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal. I will back the boys. But like I've said, we've got to win this. It's just an absolute must win. But I think it'll be tight. I think you will see a little bit of a similar game how you have been before. Maybe in the first half we have more possession, but we don't find the goal. Maybe we nick one at the end of the first half. And I can see Wolves getting an equaliser. Then hopefully at the end, in the last 15, we get a winner. That's how I probably do see the game going. But
Yeah, I'm going similar to last season. I'm going 2-0 again. I feel like considering the injuries as well, I feel like we'll keep a clean sheet, but don't get twisted. It's still gonna be a very tight game. Under the lights of Le Molyneux. I've seen Wolves and we've seen them beat Man City and play well at home against these big sides. So it's gonna be a very tough game. But I'm going 2-0. Dave, thank you very much for coming on the channel today, my guy. Really appreciate it. And if you want to shout out where people can find you as well on social media.
Yeah. So I mean, my apps are on there for my personal one, but yeah, we're Talking Wolves everywhere on YouTube and all the social medias as well. But yeah, thanks for having me, lads, and Seb, safe trip tomorrow as well, man.
thank you.
Yeah, Seb, of course. Hope you enjoy the game tomorrow, man. And have you got any articles coming up yourself?
Well, the one went out yesterday, just when I'm talking about the concerns about. I spoke about the concerns about crumbling under pressure, but hopefully the next one I write will be a bit more of a positive one. And I don't know just yet what it's going to be on, but this weekend, these next two games will probably tell a lot about where we are and
yeah,
take it
big up. Yeah, big up Seb, man. Make sure you go and follow his Instagram as well, guys. Talkcast FC. He's flying on there at the moment. So go and check him out on there. Dave, may the best team for tomorrow and also all the best for the rest of the season, man.
You too.
And yeah, we're getting out of here, guys. I'll see you guys later tonight with a transfer stream. Come on, you Gunners.